Welcome back to this FE12 H4 Reverse Recruitment LTC. We finally entered the real part of the game. Relative to the prologue, we now have access to the shop and reclassing, both of which are very useful. To save time in the recording, I've already done the reclassing and inventory management for Chapter 1. I've also obtained the Rainbow Potion, Growth Drop, and Bound Drop. We begin by selling the Firestones and Outfire Tomes that we won't need. We then bought stat boosters for our Lord Elice. Offensively, Elice gets 1 energy drop to be able to crit kill the barbs on this map, as well as 1 speed wing so that she can double them after a level up. Defensively, Elice gets 1 angelic robe and 2 Draco shields to be able to tank 2 hits by the barbs. I give Elice the growth drop and use the Rainbow Potion on Elice and Chris, who will do most of the combat in this map. My goal is to let Elice reach level 10 in the first few turns of Chapter 3, so that once we obtain the first Master Seal in that map, Elice can promote Draco Knight to visit villages and seas faster. The issue is that before Chapter 1, Elice only sits at level 6.39, so she needs a lot of kills over the first 2 chapters. These boosters make her a decent combat unit, but we'll still have to feed her intentionally. The new units that join us after the prologue are Nagi and Medea, who replace Gordon and Aaron. Nagi is going to be benched, but we will use Medea for a long time. She is an Aaron that doesn't fall off because her growths are pretty good. In turn 1, most of our units move out of enemy range except for Medea, Elice, and Chris. Medea is a general in this map. Her main job here is to weaken 3 barbarians in the upcoming enemy phase, who will then suicide on Elice in the next enemy phase. Elice herself is reclassed to Cavalier for the 9th move, and she crit killed a barb in this player phase. Now she's in range of a hunter and another barb, and in order to feed that barb to Elice, Chris weakens him with a steel lance, where we will unusually have to rig a miss. The enemy phase goes as planned. 1 barb suicides on Elice, where we rig a dodge for Elice to survive. 3 other barbs become very low after being counterattacked by Medea with her silver lance. It's worth mentioning that Medea cannot take the Rainbow Potion, otherwise those barbs would suicide on Chris as they see more damage on him. In turn 2, Elice visits the village after being healed by Lena. Wolf, who replaces Militia, moves out. Chris and Medea also move toward the gate. Medea has to take a vulnerary to survive, and her weapon is swapped from Silver Lance to Iron Bow to reduce wound damage taken from the 3 wounded barbs. This will make them attack Elice instead of Medea. After that, Michaelis enters the range of the top wounded barb, and with this guy baited away, Elice will only face 2 wounded barbs and another barbarian near the village in the upcoming enemy phase, so she's going to be able to survive with a single dodge. Finally, Pegasus Knight Maria flies over the mountain. As in vanilla FE12, she will be able to bait the enemies near Lorenz away from the narrow pathway toward the gate. In this enemy phase, I need to rig Michaelis level up, Elice also levels up, and Elice has to dodge at about 25% chance. I was lucky to get everything work out perfectly. In turn 3, Elice full moves toward the gate and gets healed by Lena again. Wolf also moves forward and takes a vulnerary. Then Chris enters the range of both barbarians near the fort, therefore aggroing them to come out in enemy phase. Medea protects Lena from the top right barb, whereas Michaelis and Ymir move out of his range. Maria stays put over the mountain to bait. In this enemy phase, two things need to happen. First, there is a barbarian near the fort who has a hand axe. He must use the hand axe to attack Wolf from 2 tiles left instead of 1 left and 1 up. Otherwise, he will block the way for Chris and Elice to move forward next turn. Second, Elice should crit the top right barb that attacks her from behind. In turn 4, Elice full moves again and so does Chris. Medea weakens another barb for Elice to kill in enemy phase. Although it's possible to feed the hand axe barb to Elice as well, I decided to give Michaelis the kill instead. This is also going to ensure Elice's survival in the upcoming enemy phase. In this enemy phase, Elice is able to kill a wounded barb and is ripped to crit another barb who was baited away by Maria. So after 4 turns, Elice has managed to kill 7 barbs in total, reaching level 7.7. As I mentioned, it's in theory possible to give her 1 or 2 more kills, but that requires heavier rigging, and my other units also want some experience. Turn 5 is relatively straightforward. Chris will just need to crit kill Lorenz before Elice can seize. Let me however mention that I made a mistake at the very first move of this clear, which is that I forgot to have Lena use barrier in turn 1. After some calculations, I concluded that this single loss of staff experience should not damage the entire run, so I decided to keep this recording given that everything else worked out. But I should certainly be more careful in the future. Toward the end of Chapter 1, Ymir does his only thing on this map, which is to use our remaining gold to buy 2 javelins and 1 hand axe. We're going to need more of these later, but at this stage our resources are pretty tight, so these are sufficient. Finally, I rigged Medea to crit a hunter for a little bit of extra experience. Anyways, Chapter 1 is cleared in 5 turns. See you next time for the continuation of this crazy training session for Elice.